Hear this verse. You were never easy to replace. You were never ordinary to the people who truly felt you. They may have claimed to have moved on, distracted themselves with noise, and tried to rename the loss. But the truth of you stayed in rooms and mind long after you left. Blessing chosen ones, I am Queen the Crown Oracle. Stay to the end of this short transmission from Spirit for you. Listen to my podcast free for the full transmission. Search Birthright Inheritance on YouTube or your favorite platform, because what you're about to hear will help you understand why your absence still speaks louder than their performance. It will help you understand why being overlooked in some rooms never meant you were unworthy in truth. You'll understand why the part of you that was dismissed is often the very part that carried the most substance, which they're unwilling to admit. And it will help you to stop confusing their carefully image crafted coping with your value. You are the kind of presence that matters, which does not just disappear just because someone knows how to act unbothered. It lingers, it echoes, it leaves a shape behind. And some people spend a lifetime trying to outrun the exact thing that they can never fully forget you. You were the one who made their spaces feel more alive. But as a mirror, your presence made the truth harder for them to ignore. You were the one who carried a depth they could not casually duplicate. They can try to decorate the empty place you left, but decoration is not a replacement. They can try to fill the silence, but filling space is not the same as your energetic impact. They can try to act above it, but the body remembers what the mouth pretends to dismiss. Your absence is not small. Your absence is the thing they keep circling around in their minds, craving the noise. Because when their mind goes quiet, it haunts them. Your absence is the reminder that what was real cannot be reduced to convenient story. What they lost was not just access, it was contact with a truth telling presence, a mirror that reflected them more honestly than they were ready to face. They lost the version of connection that would have required them to become more than they were prepared to be. It would have required them to invest more than they were willing or capable of giving. And that is why they lost you, and why this loss still leaves them with heavy burdens. Why the story remains a hot topic, because they still feel something when your name, your face, your voice, or your energy crosses their field. Because the spiritual lie they programmed us to believe is that being replaced means being erased. That if someone looks fine, your impact is gone. That if they found a new person, your value must have been small. That if they stopped calling, the story must have ended because you were replaceable. But impact does not disappear just because someone tries to minimize what they felt. Impact stays in the body, it stays in the memory, in the nervous system, it stays in the space where truth was once lived. And when truth has lived somewhere, it doesn't just leave urgently, it leaves residue, just like a flood and recognition. It leaves them comparing everyone else to you. It sets a standard that fake replacement can never fully match. That is why a person can move on and still not be free from what they experience in you. While someone can be surrounded by noise and still feel the absence even when the room is full. Because what you gave was never something they could casually put down and fully forget. A real encounter does not just disappear because somebody wants to pretend they're above it. It's lived. It lives somewhere deeper than their surface level performance. It enters the inner archive. It becomes part of their emotional map, whether they honor it or not. Hear this clearly. The crown arc of truth is that some people never stop feeling what they lost when they lost you. Not because you're begging to be remembered or even care to. Not because you're performing your importance, but because you were the real thing. You touched places in them that convenience could never reach. You made them feel seen, challenged, mirrored, and exposed all at once. And that kind of experience does not vanish just because they try to move on with noise. The real thing is not always recognized in the moment it arrives. Sometimes it is only understood after it leaves. Sometimes it takes distance for someone to realize they were standing in front of something rare and unique all along. And sometimes their system only understands the value of your presence once your absence becomes their present reality. And that is the part of why the emotional residue is so strong. They may not know how to name it well. They may call it regret, longing, curiosity, guilt, bitterness, nostalgia, or irritation. But under all of those labels is the same recognition. Something real happened here. Something significant happened here. Someone significant was here. You. And if they fumbled you, the feel has not forgotten. To the empaths, you feel the ending long before you can explain it. You pick up on the shift in tone. You feel the distance before the distance is named. You carry the impact of what was real, even when everyone else keeps pretending it did not land. To the black sheep, you were never too much for the wrong room. You were too true for the performance they intended to maintain. You were the one who made the false comfort in the system stop feeling comfortable. You exposed what others were willing to normalize. You were the one who refused to call it distortion. Peace just because everyone else had adapted to it. And that makes you unforgettable to people who relied on silence to keep the old structures intact. To the narcissist survivor, you know what it means to be emotionally invested in someone who kept changing the shape of truth. You know the exhaustion of trying to make sense of what was never stable enough to hold you properly. And you also know how the sting of realizing your presence mattered more than they were willing to admit. You remember the confusion, hoping consistency would eventually appear if you just loved hard enough. To the fire sign, you did not burn the same. You do not burn the same way everyone else burns. You light up what is hidden. You expose what is dry. false and performative. People fear you because you reveal what they would rather conceal. Your fire shows masks. When people cannot handle the heat of your truth, they often act like the fire never mattered. But fire always leaves evidence. It shows where the structure was weak. It reveals what could not hold real intensity. It makes the unseen visible. It forces hidden truths out in the open. And that is why your absence is memorable, because people do not forget the one who made them feel more alive, more seen, and more exposed all at once. Your fire was never the mistake. Your fire was the test of what was actually built to last. And to the real chosen ones, you were not placed here to be convenient or to be forgettable. Your impact can never be a temporary lesson in someone else's life. You were placed here to leave an imprint that truth can recognize later. You're here to carry a signal, not to be decoration. You carry substance, not performance. You carry consciousness into rooms that prefer to stay asleep. And because of that, your absence leaves emptiness. It is meaningfully felt. It is measured against whoever came after you and even those in the past. It is remembered by the body of the people who met you honestly. You were not the kind of presence people simply replace and move on from cleanly. You were the kind of presence that becomes a reference point, the kind of presence that makes future experiences reveal their limits, and the kind of presence that changes the standard forever, whether anyone says it out loud or not. Let your response be a signal that you are done shrinking your impact to make other people more comfortable. Let your response be a declaration that you're ready to live as the one who knows your worth without negotiating it. If you're ready to reclaim your abundance blueprint, type I am the first one. I am the first one, or drop a crown emoji in the comments. Subscribe, follow, and join your crown tribe. Turn on notifications so you don't miss these transmissions from Spirit for you. In chapter 1, the Earth School lesson, this is the crucifixion stage. This is the place where the wound teaches through pressure and the body has to keep living while the heart is still trying to understand what happened. This is where you start noticing that the people and the patterns you gave access to were never as safe as they appear to be. This is where your nervous system begins to tell the truth even before your mind catches up. You replay the conversation, the silence, the tone shifts. You replay the moment something in you knew the connection was changing before anyone said it out loud. You ask whether you missed the signs. You ask whether you were naive, which, by the way, naivety is what they call your purity. You ask whether you gave too much too soon. You ask, was your loyalty kept? Was it your loyalty that kept you there longer than your wisdom would have allowed? Should you have listened sooner to the warning signs? And the body responds with tightness, fatigue, agitation, withdrawal, obsession, or grief that has nowhere clean to go. The wound feels personal because it arrived through relationships that matter to you. It feels humiliating because it came through trust. It feels confusing because part of you still remembers the beautiful intention set before the distortion. That is the crucifixion stage. It is not a cute stage. It is not a polished stage. This is the stage where the lesson feels like the belly of the whale while you are inside it. It feels like being asked to carry a life you no longer know how to hold, like you cannot continue while your inner world is telling you it cannot keep pretending. It is like being awake even to know something is wrong. It's like being awake enough to know something is wrong, but not yet fully grounded enough to move cleanly. And that is why chapter 1 is so exhausting for many, because you are not just losing a person, you're losing a version of yourself that was attached to the hope of being chosen, being understood, or finally felt secure by that connection. That loss has layers, it holds memories. It can make you question your sense of timing. It can make you ponder your faith and your own discernment. It can remind you of the part of you that wanted the story to work because you invested so much into it. That is the Earth School lesson of pain, of betrayal. Pain often goes looking for a reason inside. This is the place where the old program tries to convince you that that convince you that if the ending hurts, then you must have done something wrong. Yet know this, that is not always true. Sometimes the pain is simply the cost of being real in a place that could only tolerate the idea of you. The pain is the cost of telling yourself the truth after a long time of trying to keep a fantasy alive. And sometimes the pain is the cost of no longer being able to call a dying thing a life commitment just because you loved it. In chapter 2, alignment with your blueprint, this is where the resurrection starts to become practical. This is where you stop asking the wound to be your compass. This is where you begin to build from what is actually true instead of what was emotionally familiar. It is where one becomes rooted in clarity and self trust, in discernment and understanding that peace is not boring. It is a state of information. Peace is alignment. Peace is what the body feels when it is no longer being asked to hold contradiction as a lifestyle. You begin to trust your pace instead of comparing your growth to people who are still negotiating with their own truth. But the reality of unfolding so internally anchored that the outside world no longer gets to define your rank. That is what it is in chapter 2. When you are taking aligned action, you understand that life is not delayed because it requires refinement, and that refinement is not punishment. You understand that rebuilding can be sacred when it is guided by truth instead of panic. You begin to recognize that your power is not in performing to be healed, demonstrating just a healed version of yourself. Your power is in being honest while you are still unfolding, alchemizing these chapter 1 energies that travel with you into chapter 2 in order for your abundance living to take root. Many bypassers stay unconscious and call it living. They repeat the same pattern because the pattern feels familiar. Many claim what they do not know cannot hurt them. They stay where they are half seen because being fully known would demand change. But the real chosen ones lives differently. They feel the wound without making it their home. They tell the truth without making it a weapon. They grieve what happened without building a shrine to the pain. They become more discerning, not more bitter. They learn what peace feels like in the body. They move when alignment speaks, even if the familiar tries to call them back. Now you choose. Many bypassers who stay loyal to the identity that says, I will keep proving my worth by staying where I'm not fully valued, or choose the path of the real chosen one, the cycle breaker, who choose alignment even when it costs them the comfort of the old pattern. Know this: your ancestors did not survive their cycles for you to keep confusing pain with purpose. Understand this: no one before you had the courage to name the exact patterns and interrupt it. You are the first to believe that your absence is not small. You were the first to understand you matter. You still matter, and your continued unfolding is the evidence of your value. It is the receipt for what your life has already given to your lineage. You didn't inherit a crown. You were born wearing it. It is time to reclaim your crown, royals. Remember who you are, chosen ones. Your kingdom awaits. Let's reign together, crown tribe. Not because you were chasing, but because you were royal. You matter. And your continued unfolding is evidence of your value. Remember, you are worthy. Reclaim your crown and release the thorn. Because, again, you didn't inherit a crown. You were born wearing it. No one had to physically hand you one. The Creator already did. It is time to reclaim your crown, royal. Remember who you are, chosen ones. Your kingdom awaits. Let's reign together, crown tribe. Namaste.